Well, Alex, it's by doing things exactly like this. Talking on your program, because I know you are not that. I know that that's not what you are, and I know that your listeners are not that. And I know that by and large there are a lot of people out there that are, they are professionals. I can tell by looking at our membership. From all socioeconomic groups, from all various political backgrounds. These guys understand that Texas independence is the best thing for Texas. So, when the media, the spin doctors up there in the federal city decide that they want to paint us with a brush as extremists, then what we do is we reinforce that we are engaging in the peaceful political process.
Well, I tell you, you've seen the polls. They're from 60 to 30%, depending on how it's asked, want to secede. And my point is, if the Republic's already gone, Texas has no choice. And in a way, it'd be better if a good group like yours did it instead of the globalists breaking us off as part of Mexico and a part of Aslan and the La Reconquista. Stay there, sir. We'll also give folks your website on the other side of this quick break as well. TexasNationalist.com. Here's the website, TexasNationalist.com. We're going to keep our guests about 5 minutes into the next segment, and I'll do that news blitz. Not to tell you, I've looked at their site. I like their principles. I like their ideas. Ever since I grew up, it was we're our own country. We're the Lone Star. We entered by treaty, not by annexation, not as a territory, but we entered by treaty and then didn't relinquish any of our rights. And so Texas is special, and it's a great state. But I know the globalists want to destroy the republic, so I also have a love of the United States. I know we're not perfect, but I'm red, white, and blue, folks. But that doesn't exist anymore, and I believe we need to have Texas stand up and declare sovereignty, and through states' rights. States' rights is a national power. It's a confederation. We can declare sovereignty, the equivalent of secession, and say no to the globalist. What is your plan, sir? What is your plan to go out and reach out to Texans and to tell them the truth? And then how will we break these bonds or reestablish our sovereignty above the feds?
Well, Alex, we're doing that right now. I'll tell you, one of the things is, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a fan of Rick Perry. But one thing happened that really got this set in the minds of people. That, one of the biggest obstacles that we've had to overcome in the past is the feeling on the part of people that secession or independence was unlawful. And it was one of the major hurdles that we had to clear in the minds of people. They believed that secession was treason. And when
Perry came out and said we could secede, they went, wow, oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, it basically removed the taboo. This went from being talked about in hushed whispers in the backs of rooms to being talked about in cafes and restaurants and at dinner tables all across Texas. And, it removed that first stumbling block. So now what we're doing is, of course, we're organizing to mobilize. And that's really what this is about. Our chapters are forming in counties all throughout Texas right now, because we understand totally that there's going to need to be an organized effort to not only get this message across, but ultimately speaking, the people of Texas are going to have their say in this because of Article 1, Section 2.
Well, Daniel, let me guess your strategy. I haven't really looked into it, but I would imagine take the anti-toll road movement, which they, even in the Dallas Morning News, said could cause rebellion in the state and has already created massive unrest. That's a quote, and that's true. As people learn that a Spanish company isn't just getting the land for basically nothing for buying off politicians, but 10 miles on each side of every road, and they're going to take it and not even give you proper value. And you've got Texas landowners getting this Texas Bill of Rights letter from the state, which says you don't have any rights. We can take your land. You take our first offer, or we just take it in 6 weeks to 6 months. You take that movement, because the globalists aren't going to stop looting us, and you start educating and you capture the attention of the anti-toll road movement, this could happen.
Yeah, and we're seeing that right now. What we saw was when these Tea Parties and the things like that rolled around, it really flushed a lot of people out, because people are pretty angry about what's going on, and they have been for a long time. And it kind of flushed them out. But the one thing that it did was, while everyone were at these various tea parties, these various events, venting about the hell that the federal government is putting every one of us through, the one thing that was lacking at virtually every one of those was a solution. And this is what people need to understand. The common element among all of these problems that these people are upset about is federal government, the federal control, this relationship between the states that has grown into Frankenstein's monster. And the way that here in Texas that we solve those problems is we remove the federal government from the picture. You know, my daddy was an iron worker for 35 years, Alex. I mean, he was a hard-working, blue-collar guy. And he taught me a principle. He said the best government is the one that you got to drive the shortest distance to beat the crap out of somebody if they cross you and try to step on your rights.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is in essence what we're talking about. We return the power back to Texas. And, you know, the 10th Amendment is a good gateway for that. It is a good gateway, but ultimately what we're going to have is our independence. And when Texas gains its independence, when we start down this path, if anyone out there thinks that other states are not going to follow suit, they are deluding themselves. At this point, and to piggyback on something you said a while ago, you talked about the Aztlán movement and Reconquista. You know, in essence, with what the globalists are doing, Texas independence is an inevitability, and I say that a lot. But Texas independence is an inevitability.
All right, explain it to us, Daniel. Explain it on the other side. Look at California, totally federalized, totally bankrupt. It's got a foreigner who says he wants to be Hitler running it. Looks like a complete clown. The feds are taking it over. It's either they take us over or we declare our sovereignty. Unfortunately, you're probably right. The question is, how are we going to do it?